The world calls for more Steam machines, but does Valve answer? Some argue yes, and others argue no. And it's time to talk about the Steam machines once again. SteamOS 3 approaches general purpose release, but does that mean that we'll see SteamOS on a console of some sort? But if you like this video or any other video I've made, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And in the meantime, why don't you check out Off the Console? It's a brand new podcast created by me, Gardner Bryant, and Games Revealed, with guest stars occasionally. And while yes, it's on YouTube, it's also available wherever podcasts can be found, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Check it out. The source of these rumors comes from this tweet right here, which is entirely in Spanish. And I'm just gonna scroll down to the English translated version. This post comes in the wake of Valve adding support for RDNA4 graphics into SteamOS, and this reasons that supposedly Valve is making some sort of RDNA4 device. Rafa from Handle Deck seems to believe that Valve is making some sort of consoleized PC, something for the living room, something like a Steam Deck, but just consoleized. And he also seems to believe that this will be a fully functioning PC that'll be 3 to 4 times cheaper than any gaming PC with the same spec, given that the Steam Deck sold for 3 to 4 times cheaper than existing PC handhelds at the moment, like the original Aya Neo. And on paper, all of this sounds great, except for the fact that this is merely just a rumor. As per Liam from Gaming on Linux, he specifies that this rumor came from an update to the Mesa drivers, which specifies that RDNA4 support is, quote, good enough. But of course, reading the actual update indicates that good enough is pretty good, but it's missing 2 features compared to RDNA3, so it's not quite ready for prime time. So there we go, there's no true evidence that Valve is working on anything RDNA4 based. But the big question is, will Valve make anything that's RDNA4 based? And I'm inclined to believe, truly, no. If you saw, there was a PS6 leak that suggested that the PlayStation 6 will have UDNA graphics, which is supposed to be a next generation leap over RDNA. Now, what does this mean in this case? I have no idea, and to be honest, we don't know what UDNA entails besides the fact that it's supposed to be quote unquote next generation. I'm gonna make a prediction that, to be honest, has no basis in reality other than the fact that I'm just thinking of it right now. That being that the Steam Deck 2 is going to feature UDNA graphics. This is a prediction, and this is a prediction that I can just go back to in a future video and be like, oh, I was totally right, or oh, I was totally off the mark. But that's not the only thing that happened this week. If you recall, earlier last year, Apex Legends used to have Linux support, but then they removed it, citing cheaters. Well, according to the developers, Respawn Entertainment, yes, supposedly. According to this graph provided by Respawn Entertainment, cheating is down by 33% ever since they blocked Linux players, and by extension Steam Deck players. From someone that's wanted data on how many cheaters there are on Linux, supposedly, this is a pretty good data point, if true. That's the graph is missing like some variables, especially what does the value represent? Is that like number of individual cheaters on any given platform? Like what does that represent besides, oh, it's just a 33% decline in cheating? On one hand, yes, I see the data. I see that I guess Linux players are cheaters. And if you're a Linux gamer that's advocating for Linux, why are you cheating? You're just ruining it for everyone else. You're especially ruining it for the Steam Deck community because, let me be perfectly frank, this isn't something Valve can just fix on their own. This isn't something that Valve can fix with a Steam Deck 2. If Apex Legends continues to ban the Steam Deck, then you can be certain that they'll also ban the Steam Deck 2 from playing Apex Legends. Unless you're of course running Windows. Yes, that's always an option. No, I don't personally recommend it, but it is an option if you want to play games on your Steam Deck that you can't on, say, SteamOS. Linux gamers tend to get mad at developers for doing this, but I feel like their rage is a little misappropriated. Now, I don't condone harassment or anything of the sort, but I will say that the blame primarily lies with the cheat makers and the cheaters in the world that use them. And guess what? They make a killing off of your suffering. Like modding and cheating in a single player game where you're playing by yourself and only ruining your own experience is none of my business. But it's another thing when you play a multiplayer game and you kill me with like an aimbot or like a wall hack or whatever, and now it's personal. Honestly, you know what I wouldn't mind? I really wouldn't mind if these big corporations flex their legal muscle on these massive cheat makers. You know, the kinds that make millions of dollars on cheats. That's just like my opinion though, but whatever, I guess. And one more thing too, Valve has updated early access. And when I say Steam early access, I mean the early access where a developer releases a game that's still in development and will periodically update the game until it kind of reaches 1.0. Not the really stupid advanced access that some people call early access, where a AAA developer will sell you a much higher priced version of a game to give you like a week of access that's early. Like Ubisoft does this all the time, and it's miserable. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent here. But what I'm saying is that sometimes you'll come across games that are in early access, that are actively in development, but the game seems to be abandoned. Like, the game hasn't seen an update in months, maybe even years. That's how abandoned they are. And with no word of what happened to the developers, did the developers kind of just give up and not tell anyone? That happens. That happens on Steam all the time. But games that don't get updates anymore, despite the fact that they aren't considered finished? This happens all the time, and Valve is now telling consumers that yes, this game may have not been updated in maybe a few years or so, maybe even a few months to be honest. Like for example, this game right here hasn't been updated for 8 years. That's at least one console generation ago. Like, I get it, sometimes life gets in the way, but I think at the very least as a developer, you should tell your consumers, you should tell your community that you won't be updating a game anymore, that a game will just exist the way it is now forever. But some developers don't do that. They kind of just disappear. They take the money and then leave forever. Whether that's intentional or unintentional, they really should just tell someone, like seriously. And the Legion Go S releases next week. This is the Windows version of the Legion Go S. But regardless, I still want to try it out to see how it fares. And heck, maybe I'll just make my own Steam version with either Bazite or hopefully the SteamOS beta when that releases. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.